sports, as we all know, is filled with emotions, feelings, victory, glory, and everything, but it is also filled with players getting injured all the time. So we're going to talk about that. And firstly, we are going to talk about a player who we so dearly missed in the World Cup final, and that's Hardik Pandya, who got injured against Bangladesh in the group stages. And to analyze his injury and what it means, and overall talk about fitness in cricket and what players go through, we have a special guest. So, hello, Megan. How are you? And just to let our audience know who you are a sports scientist, you're a blogger. When we talked for the first time, I had a blast with you. But yeah, so how are you, first of all? Is the year end? It's December.
Yeah.
How is your year been? How are you? Just give it to us.
So thank you for the introduction. I'm really doing good. And just to, slightly correct you, before a sports scientist, I'm a physiotherapist. So that's why I think, talk freely about the injuries. And so I've been analyzing the entire World Cup step by step. For the first time after like 15 years, I've been following a World Cup so closely. And this time with a lot of knowledge around every injury that goes in a player, or that affects a player while playing or off the field. uh, I've been analyzing it throughout. So that's one part of it. The other part of it is, regarding my personal life. I've been just crazily worked up, but yeah, we're here to talk about injuries, so let's go ahead
I
and
mean,
do
your
that.
your LinkedIn profile kind of does not have a end year in all your companies or whatever five roles you're doing. So I can get that you're actually
Yeah.
busy all the time. So, but yeah. So first thing is, let's directly go and check the video of Hardik Pandya's injury. Fortunately, ICC has uploaded it. So let's look at it and then we'll get back to what exactly happened.
Yeah. Okay, so we all remember this, right? And remember this very clearly as to
Yeah.
what exactly might have gone wrong. So, what we'll do in this particular podcast is we'll
Mm.
go step by step.
Yes.
Okay. So, drag it all the way to the start, and we'll see how.
There's a slow motion video next. Should I go to that, or should do you want
Yeah, yeah,
to?
yeah, that's also fine. That's also
Yeah,
fine.
so we have a video where he's now, they'll show the replay now. When already, yeah, you can see here now. Just okay. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
here it is. So can you see the window?
Yes, I can. I can.
Yes.
So,
So yeah.
first, to start off with, he's doing what we call as a follow up. So every
Mm.
bowling action, uh, I'll just briefly break it down to you.
Yes.
First, he builds up, which is like a cock up phase, and then he goes all the way his fluent bowling action, overhead release, and then once he releases the ball, he follows it through. So a follow through is very important to reduce the impact on the uh, entire lower body as well as the upper body also, but mainly it's the lower body, because he's throwing something or releasing something under high velocity. So that's the first thing we should take note of. So
Mm.
high velocity ball releases and then following it through towards the middle of the pitch. Now what happens is he has to suddenly change his direction over here. So Liton Das literally plays a straight drive,
Yeah.
and you can see the ball going all the way through. But what Hardik tries to do is, as every player would, he tries to stop the ball, but he doesn't dive, or
Mm.
that's commendable effort, by the way. But he doesn't dive, he doesn't use his hands, he doesn't bend over. He uses his legs, or he tries to use his leg. See
Yeah.
here. Yeah. So at this point of time, there are two possible impacts of the injury at this particular motion. Okay. Now, all we can see is he's trying to, you know, block the ball using his leg. But what we also don't see, or I think the Bangladesh player is blocking our view, is his other leg,
Yeah, yeah.
okay, his other ankle. So if you can just play and then pause.
Okay.
Okay.
So
At
I
this point of time, yeah, at this point of time, he is unable to block the ball because obviously the velocity is quite high.
Hmm.
The ball is traveling at a fast speed, and he's unable to block. So what happens at this point of time in the player's mind is anticipation. He's trying to block the ball, so he's placed his foot in a certain way, and simultaneously the other leg has already turned. So
Hmm.
the
Hmm.
ankle already is under immense amount of tension because the foot was landed placing the boundary or facing the boundary rope, and from there the other leg has turned all the way towards this side facing the other side of the boundary rope, and he's practically trying to block a ball, so he's utilizing a good amount of force, or maybe he's doing it very rapidly, and this is exactly the point where injuries happen. Now once you've missed the ball, so imagine this is very similar to, I'll give you an analogy, or I'll give you an example, that it's very similar to punching and missing the target. So imagine you're punching the bag and suddenly you miss the target, or imagine you're batting and you miss the ball and you swing wide. What happens then is there is no absolute impact on your body and the velocity is just too high. So so already a high velocity action compiled or targeted against a high velocity action with the anticipation that two forces might neutralize at one point of time. But over here, that doesn't happen. You
Hmm.
miss each other, and then the control is lost. There is
Hmm.
no absolute control over what the ankle will do next. If
Yeah.
he's trained good for this particular aspect, there is a chance that he might not have the injury which he had. But this is way too weird and way too random of an action for anybody to train. Okay, so if you can play,
Yeah.
you'll see that he loses his balance because,
Yeah.
yeah, at this point of time, there are the ball tracking is going on with the camera, so we can't see the legs of Hardik,
Yes.
right? But yeah, he's already lost his balance on the left leg. Okay, and
Hmm.
that injury I feel is more severe on the left ankle than the right ankle. Now, if you can play, yeah, at
So
this
yeah,
point of
I
time,
think this will be more clear, this angle. So here he
yeah,
is. So he's already in the air also, I think. He's jumping.
yes,
Hasn't
yes,
connected with the ball. The ball is already past his right leg. Now he
yes, he's
lands and
already missed the
slips.
ball.
Yeah.
Yes, and now he's landing on the inner side of the ankle. Yes, perfect. And at this point of time, even the left ankle is undergoing impact. So you
Hmm.
can see very weird position for anybody to even train. So he's landing on the medial side, what we call it, or the inner side of the ankle. So a
Hmm.
foot has a inner and outer side. Okay, so he's landing like this. He's going to have to place forces or weight bear on both the sides of the ankle. Now he's landing more on the inner side, so that's why his ankle trips over. That's why he loses balance. Okay, and the same goes on for the other ankle as well. So imagine you're like this and your ankles are losing balance. It's going to be of immense impact and pain also for Hardik at that point of time. Okay, and this is also particularly susceptible to an injury we call as ACL injury.
Hmm.
It's not very common in cricketers, but I'll tell you why. ACL happens if there is any kind of twisting motion. Okay, any
Hmm.
kind of twisting motion. So the ankle and the lower leg, so the leg which is below the knee and the leg which is above the knee go in opposite directions. That's one aspect where the injuries happen. The other is hyperextension. So imagine you have a straight leg and suddenly you tend to extend your knee a bit more
Hmm.
than what it is already capable of. That's when the ligament breaks. So at this point of time, his left leg is undergoing counter rotational forces from both the sides, and his right leg is going hyper extension. So not only his ankles, but his knee is also at a risk over here.
Yeah. So
Okay.
sometimes when we miss a step, we extend our leg so much that it pains a bit behind the knee
Yes.
and this is just 100x more impact than that.
Precisely. So, and it's so there are two different type of injuries that can happen. So I'm not saying they have happened. I'm
Hmm.
saying they can happen at both, at two different legs
Hmm.
for the same person with this kind of an action. Okay. And his left definitely goes for a toss, the leg which on which he's weight bearing. The right
Hmm.
leg is still not that impacted because he's not completely like
Hmm.
weight bore or on that leg, and it's not completely twisted also. Okay, but then you can play and see how he falls.
Yes. Yeah. So this is very awkward. This is.
Exactly.
Hmm.
And at that point of time, his left has undergone everything. So the counter rotational forces, he's tried to prevent it, but subsequently he sacrificed his ankle. So his left ankle has gone for a toss over here.
Hmm.
And the right knee is still extended, but he's dragged it outside.
Yeah.
So right now, see this? And then he suddenly knows that something's going to break. So he
Hmm.
bends his knee, compromises his ankle, and then drags it out.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes, he's directly, I think, what is he holding?
he's
Is it
holding
the
the left
knee
knee.
or
He's holding the left knee.
hmm.
So at that point of time, velocity, his sudden change of direction, his counter rotational twisting, and also his ankle have all
Hmm.
undergone tremendous amount of damage. So if they've not, I think, released the exact details of the injuries, right?
They haven't. Whatever I read, it was, I think, a minor tear. They are saying that it was okay after the game, but then it swelled up. So it was,
Yeah.
so it is on his ankle though, but they haven't specified which ankle. Is it the right? Is it the left?
Yeah, it's obviously going to be uh, ankle first, but we have to take into consideration that some damage might have gone towards the knee also,
Hmm. Hmm.
because his knee was touching the ground first, then his body
Yes.
weight bore on that, and then it kind of flexed into a complete curled up position or a cross-legged sitting position for one leg. So that's how we have to analyze this injury, and this is after so much slow motion videos, so many in-depth discussions. They must have come to the conclusion that it's not something major for the knee, but it's
Hmm.
something mm, not really minor for the ankle as well. So
Yes.
that's why they took him out of the World Cup.
Yeah, because even if they're
Because
saying
yeah,
it's a minor tear, but still he's out for more than two months now. He won't be back
exactly.
immediately. So it's definitely not minor, but yeah.
Yeah. So that goes to in and around 4 to 5 months of
Mm,
uh, complete rehab, strengthening, and various types of balance training, stability drills. So all of that will go into training him, because see, at the end of the day, if they have mentioned that it's an ankle injury, ankle is one part of the body which weight bears our entire body, our entire body weight. So even if you say that no, वैसे तो hip भी है, knee भी है, but नहीं, hip and knee act, they do weight bear, but they act as a translational medium towards the ankle. And there's something we call as a ground reaction force also. So
mm,
whenever we run, the ground reacts to the kind of force that is being put on by us. So some people can bounce a bit more, some people can jump a bit higher. So that's because they are able to utilize the ground reaction force very well. We call that reactive strength, reactive jumping. And over here, it was just reactionary or reflexive blocking of the ball, falling on the ground, crushing his ankle, but simultaneously also focusing on the knee injury. They must have, obviously, they're full of resources. BCCI doesn't lack any kind of resources over here, so they will have, they should have scanned his knee and come up with a conclusion that it's nothing major, but it's
Hmm.
nothing minor as well.